Joe Biden is proposing a tax hike for the wealthy. And some of the people over at CNBC are concerned about that. Andrew Ross Sorkin is one of them. Let's take a look at how this conversation went down.
Tax policy is based on a simple proposition. We should stop rewarding wealth and start rewarding work a little bit. Let's raise the capital gains tax for people making over $1 million a year to ordinary income. Let's reverse the Trump tax cut. Imagine we have that if we had that $2 trillion now as we go into, God willing, recovery. Let's use the money to invest in the middle class. You know, almost 40 million Americans have filed for unemployment. And you know what the White House is proposing? More tax cuts for corporate America. I've got a novel idea. How about some relief for Main Street? What we're doing now is upside down. The bigger you are, the faster you get the money. The smaller you are, you don't get the money.
Just on the tax front first, and I understand that you want to raise taxes. The question is how quickly you do that in the midst of in the midst of this pandemic and in the midst of trying to get the economy to recover.
Nobody making under $400,000 would have their taxes raised, period. Bingo.
See, that Joe Biden wins the election. That was really nicely done. We're going to break down his tax plan, and you'll see it's got issues. It's way better than Trump's. And it actually has some really positive things in it. It's nowhere near perfect. But that performance was rock solid. I like the way that he came back at Sorkin. And the messaging was great. Hey, we've done enough for the richest people in the country. We should be looking around for the average worker. That's going to win the election. So super happy to see that strong performance by Biden there. We'll get into his tax plan and tell you the upsides and downsides.
Yeah, exactly. I want to just quickly comment on CNBC overall, and especially Andrew Ross Sorkin, and the way he usually handles interviews. CNBC is honestly nothing more. It just feels like I'm watching like nonstop compilations of anti-tax lobbyists. Like the nonstop fear mongering about taxes going up, like drives me nuts. And even Andrew Ross Sorkin there, like, oh, are you talking about raising taxes? I mean, look, just relax, okay? Relax, homeboy. All right, like what we're seeing right now in America is like a record gap between the rich and the poor. We're seeing like literally nearly 40 million Americans filing for unemployment while the stock market soars. Later on in the show, we're going to talk about how some of the wealthiest people in the country, multi-billionaires, have made a killing during this pandemic, again, while 40 million Americans have filed for unemployment. And it's amazing to me how like the victims, the potential victims in every single news story they cover are the richest people in the country. Like, relax. And by the way, go ahead.
Sorry, Anna, just to buttress your point, if you were going to create a sophisticated, PR effort where you would have lobbyists for multinational corporations posing as reporters, you would create CNBC. I mean, 100%. It's nearly perfect. Pretending to be news, looking like news anchors, but doing nonstop propaganda for the top corporations in the world. Are you saying that corporations paying taxes might happen? Well, then how would they ever create jobs? Well, how did they create jobs when they were paying 35% rate and all the other rates that we've had throughout history? But no, they're not doing news. They're doing propaganda. When it comes to protecting corporate interests, CNBC is more conservative than Fox News.
So let's talk a little bit about what Biden's tax proposal actually entails, because while he keeps branding it as a reversal of the Trump era tax cuts, that's not necessarily the case. So here are the specifics. So his proposals include rolling back President Trump's 2017 tax cuts for people with income over $400,000, capping the value of itemized deductions for people in tax brackets above 28%, taxing capital gains at the same rate as ordinary income for those making more than $1 million. I think that capital gain should be taxed as regular income, and there shouldn't be any type of cap, period. And also raising the corporate tax rate, and this is the part that really irritates me. raising the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%. Okay, let's stop for a second. I'll read the rest in a minute. The corporate tax rate before the Trump era tax cuts kicked in was 35%. Why are you going from 21% to 28%? Why don't you take it back to at least 35%, close corporate tax loopholes, tax all capital gains, all of it at the regular income tax rate that people have to pay? Like, I don't understand why this is an issue. Like, does anyone actually buy the argument that people aren't going to invest if they'll get taxed at a normal income tax rate? Like, does anyone actually believe that? Like, you think that wealthy people aren't going to park their money in the stock market if you have like a normal tax rate for it? It's so stupid. I don't understand what. And it's, look, part of the problem is our politicians are making a killing in capital gains. They don't want to pay those kinds of taxes.
So income is when you have a salary, to oversimplify, and you work for a living, you got a salary.
When you work.
Right.
When you work.
And you have to remember the highest brackets are also business people, doctors, lawyers, etc. So, but let's take a doctor as an example. If they're in the highest bracket, you're asking them to pay, around a 39% rate. But if you're a banker or anyone else doing just investments, that's capital gains. So that's not working. It's a work of a sense, right? But it's not your job. You're making money off your money. They say, well, then you should pay a lower tax rate than the doctor. Why?
No.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And it's not just us progressives saying it. Even people like Warren Buffett say, well, of course that's mental. Like, which investor in their right mind goes, oh no, taxes are a little high, so I'm not going to invest at all. So I'll make $0 instead. No one, absolutely no one. It's always been an outrageous lie. And any politician who goes along with that lie is lying on purpose. Capital gains should be at the same rate as the income tax. Everybody knows it. And for the corporations, Anna, you're 1,000,000% right. It's exactly what's wrong with corporate Democrats. So they also serve corporations. They're just more subtle than Republicans. So Republicans are too greedy. They go, let's give a 21% tax rate and not take away a single loophole. Just give everything to multinational corporations, right? Democrats go, no, you guys, let's be more subtle. Let's do a giant tax break from 35 to 28 and make it seem like we're fighting Trump. Make it seem like we're fighting corporations and corporate donors while we're doing it, while we're giving them a giant permanent gift. That's exactly, by the way, what the Obama-Biden administration did before. So as I'm telling you that he's looking tougher and he's way better than Trump in that CNBC interview, understand the game that's being played behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Trump would actually go further in cutting taxes. Like, one of the things he wants to do is cut back on the payroll tax, which helps to fund Medicare and Social Security. So if you're worried about these social safety net programs being cut in the future, understand that Donald Trump will make that happen.
So look, the time to fight on this was the primaries. Now you got somebody who's secretly helping the corporations versus someone who's brazenly over the top helping the corporations, as opposed to the American citizens. So those are your two choices. But the reason we have that, by the way, is because of the corporate media, who told you those were your only choices. And unfortunately, older voters believe them.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.